All right, cool. So thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
Of course.
First off, you just want to introduce yourself and kind of what you do?
Yeah, my name is Brendon Shultz. I own my own business called Visual Autowerks. I've been doing this for about 7 years now. I started full time with it 2 years ago. Big car guy my whole life.
Hmm.
Kind of just do my own thing and big time mechanic. Working on cars in general, and have a family now with a 8 month old, almost 8 month. Married to my wife Lily for about 10 years now. Going on 11 actually this August.
Wow,
Yeah, it's time
that's
to fly.
crazy.
Time to fly.
That's really
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
How did you like even just get into this? Like, what started it?
So basically, when I had my first Subaru, the green bug eye, I I really always loved the idea of the window vents for the Mitsubishi Evos, and they never had them for the Subarus on my platform because of the design with the frameless windows.
Yep.
So no one ever came out with a design because it was a lot more complicated and there is a liability where you can lose a product easier. But I said, I wanted to give it a shot, make my own then at that point. And I came up with the idea, and I had pitched to a friend who was an engineer at the time, and gave him the idea. He made up the design for me, and then I was like, maybe a couple friends will want these too. And I posted on Facebook pages within like 48 hours. I think I had like 60 pre-orders.
Wow.
So that was like when the light bulb went off, and I was like, this is like a cool little product. I'll sell here and there, make some extra money, but I'm like, would this turn into a full-time gig later on in life? And I was like, we'll go with the flow. And it was more of like a side thing for a few years, kind of just like push stuff on social media. It was big on Facebook, big on Instagram, just built a community of people that kind of like helped me support. And basically just went from there. And then I was like, now I have for this body style, I have this, let's do for the wagons. And then let's do for the older style Impreza. Now let's do for the newer style Impreza. And just expand more and more, and then switched over to you, thankfully,
Yep.
a few years back, and started expanding to the overland community, which is a big hit.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
that's huge.
it's crazy because I wish we started those years ago.
Yeah,
And
who would
it's
have really
just,
thought, right?
I know, and people, they're eating these up like crazy. I sell almost as many Toyota trucks as I do as Subarus, and Subarus are my most popular ones.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was more of like a product for myself that turned into a business. And I want to turn this into a bigger thing, like in a few years, where like I want my own shop to work on cars,
Right.
and this is going to kind of like help ignite it and like push me forward to it and help start the shop. And I don't want to just focus primarily on just the window vent products, which is basically solely all I sell.
Right.
But from there, I want to start doing my own personal stuff because I love building stuff. I have a history of cars. I've had 30 cars my whole life.
I was gonna say you've had a lot of cars.
Yeah, so I love building them, and I love like the final project. And I can have someone hand me a car and they say, "Here's $10,000, make this car look insane,"
Mhm.
and I'm like, "Let's do it." So like that's like my long term goals. I wanted someone to give me their car and be like, "Hey, I got money for air ride. I got some money from wheels. If you want, have a shop vinyl wrap it, do some interior work, and like just like stuff like that." I don't do heavy performance work. I just haven't gotten the knowledge of it just yet. I know a general knowledge of performance, but
Yeah.
nothing like over the top like engine building. I haven't done myself, so I have the ambition to learn eventually, but it's not an easy process, which everyone I'm sure understands.
Yeah, everything is time consuming.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, we've been friends for. It's been
I would say 20 years.
no,
no, not 20.
no,
No, no.
It's probably been over a decade.
Well, it's been well over a decade.
Yeah, it's been over a decade. So
Since I'd say I've known you since I had my Civic. You remember my Civic, the '89 Honda Civic?
yes.
Okay, so I got that
that's
when I was
right.
16. That was 16 years ago. So we're approaching 2 decades now.
Wow.
Because
Holy cow.
because of the Scots, that's how we met.
Right. Yeah.
And that's when I first started driving. Because I actually met Scott before I started driving. So then I got my car, and that's when I was over there more often, and
Right.
that's how me and you connected.
Well, so
And
no,
that
we
was when I
actually-
was.
It had to be a little bit after that because when you met me, I probably had the Z. Right.
That's vague.
It was probably when I had the Z, so it's probably close to like 15 years. Call it 15 years.
Yeah, I would say at least 15 years. So.
Yeah. But yeah, it's crazy. And I remember even reaching out to you when we initially started doing stuff together.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, hey man, I saw you were selling the what were they? It was an aluminum thing that you were selling
The
for
camber
Jettas.
plates.
Yeah, the camber plates. That's what it was.
Yep.
And I was like, hey man, like if you ever have something, like I would love to like do something with whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember you hitting me up one day, and you're just like, hey, do you have a CNC router? And I was like, yeah, what's up? And he was like, oh, okay, well, I might be switching, whatever.
Yeah.
And then it kind of turned into what it is now.
Yep.
And yeah, even during when the pandemic hit, like, dude, it was crazy.
How many
cars did we
such a
add?
roller coaster of emotion.
No.
Because the pandemic hit, and I looked at that as I was working at a Subaru Volkswagen dealership at the time, and I saw the progression of the shop just slowly declining with less people coming in, and I was on shop pay. So if there's no work coming in, I'm not making money.
Yeah, you were flat rate.
I was flat rate. So I'm looking at that. I'm like, oh man, I was like, this isn't good. And then I'm thinking about like Visual Autowerks, and I'm like, what's going to happen with this now? And then it just starts to decline. And then all of a sudden, Trump came out with the stimulus checks, and like that literally helped almost every single online business more than ever. And I feel terrible for the ones that it didn't benefit. Whereas like people that just work at like a grocery store, stuff like that, like. There's people that have small businesses in towns that had to get shut down, and I feel terrible about it. Whereas like where I was beyond fortunate and grateful that the stimulus checks gave me the most sales I've done in a single month that I have done in any month in the last, at the time, 5 years since I started.
Dude, I mean, how many cars did we add?
I think we added like a bunch of the Toyotas throughout the pandemic. Like I would say from like when March of the 2020 up until like the end of the year, I would say. We added almost, I think, the entire Toyota lineup I have. Oh, yeah. Then there was a few other like vehicles we added as well.
There was a lot, dude. There was the Skyline. We did, there was
the Charger.
Corolla, the Charger. I mean,
all the 4Runners, the Tundra, the Tacomas.
20 cars?
I would say about a third of my product catalog right now.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That is what ignited and escalated me going full time, because prior to the pandemic, my wife and I planned on moving down here. And we said like, hey, we want to move down sometime next year or two to North Carolina from Long Island. And we said like, we just don't know when it's going to happen. We just got to see how the time comes. We want to get married, but we want to start a family, but we want to get down here first, start a family. So we're like, what's going to happen? Then the pandemic hit, and we're like, what is this going to happen? Did they just push this off 2 years, and we have to start a family back in New York and kind of go with the flow? And then the stimulus checks came out, escalated Visual Autowerks to where it is. And that was like where I was like, I'm already losing hours at my current job. This is my jump right now, my leap that I need to take, that if I want to go full time, I got to try it and I got to see where it goes. So I said, I have the money saved up. We came down, we said, you know what, let's go look for a house, because it was getting bad in New York with the pandemic, just in general, the coronavirus is bad for everyone. But just a lot of the political stuff, and it's just something I didn't want to deal with. My wife didn't want to deal with. And we said let's go down south. Let's take a look at houses. So we came down. Our friends live in a couple towns over in Garner, and he showed us around town. We're like, wow, this place is great. So we're like, all right, let's keep an eye. Let's maybe move down like by the end of the year, maybe October or so. And this was back in February of 2020. So then we went back to New York, and like a month goes by, and like I'm barely scraping by, being like 20 hours at work, barely doing Visual Autowerks here and there, but the stimulus checks helped out, and it was getting me by. It was nice. And then it was sometime in April, I believe, where my wife was just Lily was just tired of it. She said, she's like, I want to go down. Let's go down this weekend and find a house.
Right, and she was the one that didn't want to move down here.
She was
against it.
She was against it. She didn't want to leave Long Island. I had to convince her to try and go to PA, and then we finally came to the agreement saying, if we're leaving Long Island, we're getting away from the snow. And PA's worse with the snow. Oh, yeah. And it's only a 3.5 hour drive from there. But I'm like, we always talk about North Carolina because one of our best friends lives out in Jacksonville, North Carolina. Okay. And that was really what helped, because we were looking at houses in her area. And she was like, oh, I want to be more inland, though, because I don't want to deal with the storms. Yeah. And she said, you know what? She's like, I don't have work this week. You're off. Let's go. I want to look at a house this weekend. So I was like, okay. So we contacted a realtor. She lined up houses for us. And I think it was the second house we looked, or first house we looked at. I walked in. I didn't even have to say anything else. I said, I want to sign it right now and apply for it. So,
wow. It was really the first house?
I think it was like the first or second house. Lily wasn't too fond of the exterior of it because of the layout, because we were very particular what we wanted. We actually wanted to buy, but I was like, I'm not buying if I don't know if I want to be there or not.
That's me right now. I'm like, I want to buy a house, but I don't.
Exactly. So I was like, let's find a house that we're content with and then see how it goes. So we got there. It was in our price range. It was a nice size. It had a fenced-in yard, which you needed, and a garage. And I'm like, I really can't ask for much more. Yeah. It's in the area I want it to be in. So we applied, and within, I think, 2 days, we got the approval. Actually, no. I'll give you a quick story. We actually found another house that we loved, and we didn't even get to look at it yet because people were still moving out. And because of the pandemic, they said we don't want people at our house, because this is peak pandemic.
Yeah, this was right at the beginning.
This was right at the beginning where like we shouldn't even probably left New York, like that kind of deal. Like we actually had to worry about traveling to North Carolina because they said if you leave New York, you're quarantined for 2 weeks. Yep. So we found a house that we applied for, and literally on our drive down, we got the email, we got approved for it. So this was a different house. And we ended up applying for that house, getting approved for it on the way down, So then we were trying to line up because we came with a friend who was also moving down and went to go look at her place. She applied for the other place, got approved, and all of a sudden that night, before we were supposed to look at the house the next day, I even already pulled out the cashier's check from the bank for the deposit.
Wow.
The night before we were supposed to meet up with them, my wife and her friend were doing research on the realty company, and there was hundreds and hundreds of bad reviews of how like it's a scam, or they just they never follow through with maintenance and blah blah blah, and there was barely anything positive. So instead of trying to move forward, and on top of that, the realtor leased out the house under our friends when they said they would hold it. Because our friend said, "Let me talk to my husband, my fiance. I'll let you know by the end of today."
And it was gone.
And by 8 p.m. that night, she said, "Hey, we'll take it." And the realtor said, "Oh, we actually already gave it out to someone else." She said, "You told me you wait." So that was like a bad taste in her mouth. And then my wife started doing the research. She said, "No, like this company's like sketchy." So we were super excited for the house. We didn't even get to see it, but we saw pictures. We drove to the neighborhood and we looked at the outside. And it was a beautiful house. It was like a huge 2-car garage. It was a little bigger than the one I have now. Huge backyard. And it was in a cul-de-sac. Like I couldn't ask for more.
Wow.
But it was one of those too good to be true things. So Lily said, like, listen, like I'm not happy with this. So we told the realtor, he said, listen, we don't want this anymore. So we're not, I put the check right back in the bank. We contacted a different realtor. She lined up a bunch of houses for us. We went to the next day, and the first one of that list
that's it.
Is we found it. We said, this is it. Like, we're going to apply right now. It's a great company, and I will recommend this person. So if anyone needs to go to North Carolina in our area, let me know. I have a realtor, and she's incredible.
You gave her to me, but we didn't end up doing it.
No, I don't think you used
I don't think we used her. But...
You end up, but she, like Lily's best friend moved across the street. She used her. Our friends that came with us that time, they used her as well, and we're going to be using her as well for when we plan to find a plot of land to build. So that's our plan. But yeah, so that was that's what escalated, and since then I've been doing Visual Autowerks full time, and I swear it's a roller coaster of emotions with this. It's 1 month I'm like all excited about it, and the next month I'm like, I'm worried about getting a job right now, and I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Sales is like the worst.
It's hard. It's definitely tough. I mean, this is a side of a business being self-employed that people don't see and understand. No. They think that it's all fun and games, that we're just banking in the money, and it's like they say like, oh yeah, well 1 month you can make X amount of dollars, and all of a sudden you can do 10% of those sales the next month, and you're like, what am I going to do? Am I failing? That's how I was. I this is a very personal thing, but the last 2 months was like the slowest I've been in the last 4 or 5 years, and it was like an eye opener to me where I was like, do I have to get another job? Like, was this the wrong choice? And this is the stuff that people don't see behind the closed curtains, that my head is just going like this, like, what am I doing? And is this the right choice? And then sure enough, a week later, my sales skyrocket again from a couple of posts online and stuff like that. Yep. So it's just constantly this, but you just got to go with the flow and be smart about it. That's really what it is. Yeah. And I know that you just started an app too, right? Yeah, so I use Shopify as my commerce platform, and they came out with an app because they have multiple apps you can add onto your store. And the app I added, it was like an advertisement. It's like, oh, turn your web store into an app. And I was like, this is something I've always had. Like, this was an idea I've had like 5 years ago when I started getting bigger into this. I was like, I want an app where people can browse the products, they can shop online, they can receive discounts, post on there, speak to a community. And it kind of worked out, and I'm trying it out. I'm in the trial right now for the next 2 months to see how it goes. I mean, I don't see a response just yet, but I want to make it where, like, if you download the app, you're going to get a special discount code you get to use now, whereas you can't use on the website. Yeah. So download the app, and then you can browse new products, you get notified with new sales, and so on and so forth. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah.
So I know that you basically sell almost solely through your website, basically just your website, right? I mean, you advertise on Instagram.
So I don't do any in person. It's all online sales, and it's solely through my Facebook, my website. But my Facebook shop and Instagram shop is connected to it. But then I do have online vendors. I have Tacoma Beast. I have Import Image Racing, Yoda Club, Overland Depot, and just there's a lot of different companies that reached out to me and said, "Hey, we want to sell your products for you." So that kind of they're an online dealer, and I don't really do. I haven't done wholesale orders in how long? I mean, you've seen them. Yeah. I haven't done them in a while. I do basically individual dropship orders. So someone orders through Import Image Racing, they'll send me the order. I'll send it out to the customer. So
that's kind of what we do some jet ski parts, and we do the same things for vintagejetski.com, and they'll just literally just get an order, and we're like, oh, okay, pack that one up, send it out.
Exactly. Yeah. It's nice and easy. I mean, it makes the vendors some couple bucks here and there, but it's minimal work on their end. Yep. Because they just throw it on their website, and the second they got the order, all they have to do is just send us the info. Yeah. So that's one of the best things about dropship. But then you can make more money if you say, hey, instead of doing dropship, I want to order 20 of those products.
Yep.
And then I say, okay, here's an extra 5 or 10% then. So
yeah, it's interesting concept.
Yep.
For sure.
That some people don't understand too.
I know that you sell a lot of, obviously there's a lot of window vents. What got you out of doing like other stuff, like the camera plates and that kind of stuff? It was just no sales, was it?
Yeah, I mean, it was really so small, and because I saw the trajectory of where window vents was going, that was like I want to primarily focus on it, so that when you see my business, you see I specialize specifically on that, because it is a niche product, but it's a product that I can expand to more vehicles. Right. I have, I think, 70 vehicles out of how many cars were made in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And it's something that I can literally just keep saying, okay, well, this person wants for this car, this person wants for that car, and it's just I've been focusing on that. I've had the thought process of saying I want to make canards, I want to make splitters and lips and stuff like that, but the problem with that is there's so much competition with those, and I have. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but I have one of the most successful companies making window vents. I have a very vast name on it. I have a very big name in the Subaru community. Yep. Not everyone knows who I am. Not everyone knows Visual Autowerks or what window vents are or who sells them.
Dude, trying to explain that to people is like...
Yeah, I mean, it's so a very niche product.
Like, oh, they're window vents. They're like, what?
Yes, and they think it's like window visors on
Yeah,
them.
exactly. And then you're like, no. You got to explain... I go through the whole, like, oh, it started in racing because you have to leave the windows up and all this other stuff. And then, like, after, like, 20 minutes of explaining it to them, they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're like...
It's a very niche thing, so it's hard. And that's what... Another thing, though, I'm like... Am I going to be able to sell window vents for the next 30 years and make a career and living out of it? So that's where I lead to me wanting to open a shop where everyone knows that cars will be around forever. People will be modifying cars forever. So that's where I want to start opening a shop, and then it'll come down to where window vents are not my primary thing, but building cars are, and the window vents will be a side thing.
Yeah.
Just a product that I just offer and sell. But in my current state of where I am living in my career, this is what I do. Yeah. And this is what I'm focusing on. And I love to expand to more products. That's where I was like, oh, I'll make like the plate deletes. And like I have like an apparel company where I sell like the shirts and the jackets and everything. So it's nice to expand so much, but I don't want to put too much on my plate that I can't eat.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of businesses fail, because they think, oh, because I was successful with this, I want to do A, B, C. I want to do B, C, D, E, and F with it when I'm still trying to focus on A. So that's where I like focusing on the window vents, because I know them, I know the market, I know the community and the customers and like what they want. So I focus heavily on that.
Right. Well, that's the 80-20 rule, right? You do 80% of your main thing, and then your 20% you kind of like mess around. You do the plates, you do the apparel, do that.
Exactly.
You know, and then if something else works, then you have the option to kind of like either push more into that, push it a little bit into both, or you know, kind of decide how you want to take it from there.
Yeah.
So actually, a question I wanted to ask you: have you thought about doing a Discord for Visual Autowerks?
For having, I guess, like a customers to
a community, right? Car guys sharing cars, stuff like that.
I have Discord. I'm not like extremely familiar with it, but when I started video game streaming last year, I opened up a Discord and I started getting the gist of how Discord works and everything. And I personally haven't thought about that, but that's definitely a good idea. The concern with that, or not concern, but just the issue with that is that not everyone has Discord, and not everyone will want it.
I think it's changing.
It's getting to that point though of where technology is going, and
well, it's because like, so I'm really into crypto, really into that. So like, they have crypto pages? They have like NFTs are huge right now. There's NFT pages. You could do stock markets. You could do like they have car ones. They have a lot of different things on there. Yeah, and I think that like that might become something. Right?
It's kind of like, it's almost like the new version of forums, like the modern day forum.
Yes, there you go. That's a great example. Yeah.
So Discord is definitely the modern day forum, because you have people that can create a topic. You have people that can go back to the topic and comment on it, and then go to a different topic, and they're not cluttered all together. You can divvy it up, and you can go into different channels and stuff like that.
Right. And what's really cool about it is you could also not only just have like conversations, but you could also stream something. You could set up an event. You can do, you know, like a giveaway on there. And like, for me, I want to try and get into that a little bit more, just in general. But I don't know, just after looking at it for a while, I'm kind of like, I feel like this is more than what it is, right? And I mean, because it literally just started off for gaming. Like that was obviously the big thing that Discord blew up in. But now it seems like other people, it's like everything. Like Instagram used to just be for photographers to take pictures and put them up, right? And now it's huge.
Yeah.
So I think Discord is going to do some kind of like weird pivot.
It's going to pivot like that. And now that you say that, I look at that as like Discord will eventually start, because you can already post photos and videos and stuff like that. And like Discord doesn't have a shop, but who knows 5 years down the line from now, where Discord is so big, where they say you can now add a shop channel to your Discord that people can browse your products.
Yeah.
So that is actually a really smart thing, and it's nice to get ahead of the game.
Yeah.
And get in there early. So if the community that is interested in stuff like that, they would join in.
Yeah, I've heard it from a lot of Discord, like from NFTs. Like Gary Vee is like huge into Discords, and I'm just like, that's really interesting. Like whoever would have thought like a gaming platform would be used for you know cryptocurrencies. So I'm just now it's a curiosity of mine that like I'm like I wonder if anybody even has thought of it.
No, it's definitely a smart choice though, especially for like small business owners of like especially focusing on like online stuff.
Yeah.
Where like I don't have a shop, I said, so it's all purely online sales. So it's already part of the internet.
Yeah.
So you're already on your phone browsing on Safari or browsing on Facebook. So you just hop into Discord. So you got a question about a product too. So it's definitely great because if someone's got an issue trying to get the product to fit properly. So you just comment on there real quick, and then if I have my notifications on, I go, "Oh, I'll help you out."
Or somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I think it's an interesting platform that you'll have that, right? It's community. Everybody wants community, right?
Yeah.
It's the car community, and then you could have a Visual Autowerks community.
I've thought about it. So it's funny you say that because I actually do have a Facebook group that is solely about Visual Autowerks removable window vents.
Yep.
So it's for anyone who wants to join. It's open to the public, and it's to help people that have either already purchased them, share their product, have any questions about it, any ideas if they want, if they want suggestions and stuff like that. If they have a friend who has a different vehicle that I offer that I don't offer, they want to add them in, stuff like that. So it's funny you say that because I kind of already started my Discord by starting with a Facebook group, because that's the community within. And I definitely did not like follow up with it and stay on top of it. Like when I first started, of course I was trying to push to everyone saying, hey, join the group. But it's definitely a great idea to start a Discord. So
yeah, staying on top of things is tough.
It is, especially when you have so much on your plate to take care of.
Yeah, you got a lot going on, and then even like moving down here and stuff like that you know takes time and energy and stuff like that. So what time of the day do you kind of get your best work done? Are you a morning person, a night person?
Oh, I'm 100% a morning person.
Yeah. I know you text me at like 7 o'clock, and luckily I'm awake.
Yeah. I mean, you're just like me, though. We're working people. I mean, I put jeans on at 7 a.m. to go in the garage to work for a few hours. Lily's like, what are you doing? I said, this is how I'm comfortable in jeans, and I'm a working person.
Yeah.
And like, nothing against people who like to wear sweatpants all day long, but I can't put sweatpants on and get that working mentality.
Yep.
And it's how I've been. I mean, I've been, I don't want to say I'm a hustler, but ever since I have been 14, 15 years old, I've done whatever I can to make money. Yep. And I don't do anything illegal. I don't sell drugs or anything like that, but I do what I can where like I can legally make the money and make a living and enjoy what I do. Yep. And to me, a morning is definitely for me. To me, it's better to have a morning mentality of working, depending on what you do.
Yeah, I mean, because you get up, it's like a start to your day.
Exactly. And then to me, like my family is what's going to be for like the evening, and like my fun time is the evening. It's just like the way to go upon. I mean, and that's just a general thing of society that majority of the time people are working during the morning. So for me, if I need to get stuff done or I want to go out, I'm going to do it at night, where I'm not going to.
Yeah, you don't want to do that in the morning.
Exactly.
Get everything done in the morning, and then you have the rest of the day.
Exactly.
Dude, if I wake up at 9 o'clock, I feel like the day is shot.
Oh man, I can't. I mean, I got my 8-month-old to keep me up at 7 a.m., so I'm not worried about that.
Oh yeah, no, my son, he's up 6:30, 7 o'clock almost every day.
Yep, he's up at 7:30.
Yeah.
So I haven't set my alarm for about 4 or 5 months. And it's crazy how it's almost every single morning we're up by 7. And honestly, if I sleep till 8 o'clock, I'm like, oh, it's actually nice. I get to sleep in a half hour extra.
The rare time that 8 o'clock is okay.
Yeah, exactly. I don't remember the last time I slept till 10 o'clock. I do not remember the last time.
No. Yeah, me either.
Even on a weekend, though. Like a weekend, I'm up by 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, the latest before Carter. But with Carter, we haven't been up past 8 o'clock since he was born.
Yeah.
So
different life.
It sure is, but it's for the better.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. It's a blessing.
Yeah, no, I'm the kind of person that like I'm either 110% or I'm sleeping.
Yep.
And if I walk through the house and the lights are off, I get tired. Because I'm like, oh, it's time to go to sleep.
Yep.
But I'll wake up, all the lights turn on. It could be a sunny day out, and I'll turn the lights on. I'm like, I need more light to keep me awake and going.
I walk in and I got all the blinds shut, and it's bright in there. You can still see what you're doing and go about. But I said, no, it's not bright enough for me. So I'll go throughout my entire first floor, and I'll crack every blind open and make it as bright as can be inside. Because you know why? It is daytime. Yeah. It is not time to go to sleep. Nope. I can't plop on the couch and sit down for 4 or 5 hours and do nothing. My mind is just constantly moving.
Always moving. I can't even watch TV.
I watch TV, but at night.
Dude, I can't even
do it. I'll throw it on for background noise, like during the day sometimes. Yeah. But even then, like most of the time, if I'm doing something, like I don't even have the TV on. But at night, when I want to relax, I'll throw it on for a couple hours and that's it. But besides that, I'm like, I feel like I just need to be doing something.
Gotta be moving.
And that's why, like, it came from when, like, Visual Autowerks, I was working full-time job, making 40 hours plus a week and doing Visual Autowerks on the side. Mm-hmm. I had off Mondays and Sundays for my job. I would do Visual Autowerks all day Monday, and then I would work my job Tuesday through Saturday, and sometime doing evenings for Visual Autowerks at home. Yeah. And besides that, Sunday was technically my only day off. And even then, I'd have to drive to go pick up parts. I'd have to go drop off parts. I have to go do something. And it's just a lot. But it's hard work now, so later on in life, it's worth it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure.
But I know I'll be 80 years old and I'll still be running around doing something.
Well, so I tell Ange, I'm like, I want to be able to retire by the time I'm 45. She goes, you want to retire when you're 45? I was like, no, I want to be able to. I was like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I want that option, though.
Yeah.
She's like, you're crazy. I tell people that, and they just look at me. They're like, what? I'm like, I don't know. It's some crazy dream. You got a dream, right? One of the questions, just out of curiosity, is like, do you consider yourself successful?
Everyone has that American dream of being your own boss, having money, being able to do what you want. And I've gotten to that point where I don't have money where I get to do what I want, but I have enough where I'm comfortable and I can still enjoy some things, most of the things I enjoy doing. Can I drop what I'm doing now and go fly to Greece for another trip? Of course not.
Probably not.
But if I wanted to say, hey, let's go out to the mountains for this weekend, I can do it. And to me, success is being satisfied, but not being lazy about it. And you have to work hard for what you want. And I would consider, like, my last 15 years of my life how I've been doing my own thing and I've been pushing to do my own stuff to be successful. And I would consider myself successful, but I'm not fully satisfied with it. And I always know I can do better than what I'm at. So am I successful? Yeah, I've been successful with what I've done. Even if, knock on wood per se, Visual Autowerks failed in the next 5 years, I still feel that I had success throughout it. Okay. And that I did what I can to keep going. And then I know that there is always the chance that something can fail no matter how good it may seem be.
Yeah, and it also depends on how you want to measure success.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, I don't view success. A lot of people are like, oh, you got to make $1 million a year.
Exactly.
And I'm like, I don't got to make $1 million. Would I like to? Absolutely.
Of course.
But for me, success is just being able to live the lifestyle that you want.
Yep.
Right? So for me, I tell Andrew all the time, I'm like, the way I want to live life is I want to be able to, at the drop of a hat, decide I want to go to Capitol Grill. And for anybody that doesn't know what Capitol Grill is, it's a really expensive steakhouse. Basically, you're going to spend $300 there for 2 people, easily. I want to be able to do that whenever I want.
Uh-huh.
That's it. I made it. And she's like, that's it? That's what you want? I'm like, absolutely. I was like, because the rest of my life is taken care of.
I just need a good steak. That's all I need.
I just want to go to Capitol Grill. I want to have a $100 steak, whatever it is.
Exactly.
And not have to worry about it.
Yeah.
I was like, and then that's where I consider I made it, right?
Yep.
But I mean, same as you. Like, I consider myself successful. I don't think that I have this grand thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, sure. Why not?
But you're happy with where you are.
Yeah.
You feel because you're content because you know what you worked for. You're receiving. You have a beautiful family. You have a beautiful house, and like you're making your way through life in a positive way.
Yeah.
So that everyone's definition of success is different.
Yep.
But me and you have the similar definition where we feel that like where we are right now is we are happy. We have a good family. We have good jobs. Where we have money coming in, because people say money isn't everything, but I'm sorry, but it is. Because if you don't have money, you can't live the life that people want.
Yeah.
And that you want. And I don't want to travel the world. Would I like to? Of course. Yeah. I'd love to travel the world, but I don't need to. And I just my version of success is just being happy with where you are and content of where you put yourself. So, I mean, I don't want to knock anyone, but if everyone who wants to flip burgers the rest of their life, if they want to flip burgers, and to them that's successful, and they're flipping burgers at McDonald's for the next 30 years, and they end up becoming a GM there. If that's what their agenda is, then that's their success. But if they're saying, I want to go become a full-time self-employed person, but they flip burger for the next 20 years, that's not how that works. Yeah. You need to get yourself to that point where you want a success.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. You know, I think that a lot of people have their own path and things that they want to do. But I think that at the same time, like, you know, so like I have a friend that he crunches numbers every single day. He sits on Excel, he crunches numbers, and he loves it. Right? And I'm like, dude, if I had to sit and look at an Excel spreadsheet all day long and crunch numbers, I was like, I wouldn't last very long. And I think that's it. Like, you have the person that does that and loves it, right? And me, and the same thing for him. He probably doesn't understand why I love standing at a milling machine all day long. You know, everybody would think that's boring, and I love it. Yeah. Like, it's just enjoyable to me. So, like, everybody has their own path and what they want to do and what they consider successful, right?
Yeah.
I just think everybody, it's measured differently. And I think a lot of people just got to get out of the mindset of, I have to make X amount of dollars. Yeah. I mean, I think having goals is a good thing. Absolutely, like, there's a number in my head I'd love to be at.
Yeah.
But that's not my end all be all, right? Like, I could downgrade my truck. I could downgrade my house and have better cash flow and live a better life, right? Like, I could go to Capital Girl all the time, but I'd have to live in a really small house and I wouldn't be able to do a lot of things. So maybe that could be successful, right?
Yeah.
But I have other goals in life and I want to do a lot of different things. But I think people just got to get out of that mindset of, you know, I got to make $1 million a year.
Yeah, that's what people think successful is, making 7 digits a year.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's funny you say this because there's a recent status a friend posted said, what is your personal thought of what is considered a successful amount of an annual salary, whether it's combined or individual? And it's funny how many people agree where the middle class, that people are saying, like, to successfully and comfortably live with today's age of where you are, I mean, compared to New York and here is night and day. But,
that's great.
But to comfortably live, like, you have to be making almost $100,000 used to be the goal. 6 figures, $100,000 a year. Maybe 10 years ago, everyone's like, I want to make $100,000 a year. You talk to anyone who wants money to do what they can, they say, no, I need to be making 150.
Yeah.
And that is the thing where, like, a comfortable number where people can, like, live and do what they want is $150,000. You can have a beautiful house. You can have cars that you don't need to repair every other weekend. You can take your vacations when you want. You can go out with your family. You don't have to sit at home and do nothing all day long.
Yeah.
But then there's the people that are making $50,000 a year that say, I need to make $800,000 a year to live. And it's like, no, you don't.
You can make 80.
If you want to make that a goal, go ahead.
Yep.
But the more you push for that further number is more difficult. Aim lower and you can reach it a lot faster and a lot higher.
Yeah, and I think that just being content with where you're at.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you are making 80 but you want to make 800, don't be mad that you're making 80.
Exactly.
Right? Like, live within your means, right? Big thing. And then work towards it, you know? And if you can only put in 5 or 10 hours a week, put in your 5 or 10 hours. It's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Right? And that's just having the motivation and, you know, the drive to do that stuff will make a huge difference. Got off on such a tangent. I'm like, I don't even know what to... Anyway. All right, I guess we could just wrap it up. I was gonna say we could talk about cars, but
that would be bad.
I'm thinking
I know that should be made in a whole other podcast.
I was gonna say maybe we could do another one for that.
This would be episode part 1, and then we'll do a part 2 about just cars in general, because I can go on for days about that.
I know, it's so bad.
You and I both know about that.
All right, so one last question, because I'm always just really curious about people and, like, the way they think. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
That's tough.
I know.
That's a tough question.
It's a good one, right?
You should have asked me that like 3 days ago, so I actually had time to think about it. You put me on the spot with that one. Honestly, I am not a cocky person, and I don't ever plan to be. And I want people to think like that he lived a life of someone who was humble, because that's who I am. And I have a beautiful wife. I have a beautiful baby. I have a beautiful car and a beautiful house, but I don't feel cocky about it.
Yeah.
So and the way I do is I work for a lot of others as well. Like, I try and, like, uplift other people. I always try and push. Like, I always try and help where I can.
Yep.
So I want to be known as being like that helpful person that was very humble about it. Whereas I'm not flaunting my stuff. Like, yes, I post my car on my Instagram. I post photos of my beautiful truck and all this stuff. Yeah, I'm going to post it. I'm going to share what I enjoy. But I don't want people to think of it that like, oh, he's bragging. Because that's never what it is.
Yeah.
It's showing that what you work for, that hard work pays off.
Yeah.
And this is an example of Visual Autowerks, was that I did Visual Autowerks part-time for 5 years until I went full-time. I busted my ass for 5 years working 40 plus hours a week. I was working 2 jobs between the ages of, I think, 17 to like 22. I was working 2-3 jobs at a time. I was sometimes working, and then I would work full-time at the job and then get Visual Autowerks. So it's like I never stopped moving. And the one thing that people need to understand is hard work pays off. And like if that's what they see out of me, that you just continue to progress, that you finally get that success you're looking for.
Cool.
So
I like it.
Yep.
All right. The last thing, where can people find you on like social media and stuff?
Basically everything is just Visual Autowerks. Autowerks is AUTOWERKS. I have Instagram, Facebook. I just downloaded the app to the App Store. That is on Apple and Android, both available. Just look up Visual Autowerks is the only thing that comes up. Thank you. And then email, you can just at gmail.com, the same thing. But the website visualautowerks.com is just the easiest way to try and browse everything. And there's a contact form there as well. But Instagram page and Facebook. But contact is solely email. Do not message my Instagram, please. I
see that all the time. I do not respond to DMs.
I get like 2 or 3 messages a day. I mean, 2 or 3 dozen messages through Instagram Direct every day, and I'll quickly browse them to make sure there's nothing urgent. But if it's just a simple, hey, can you make for this car? Just email. Yeah. Because then if it turns into a huge conversation about something and it ends up working out where I can now help you out because you helped me out, I can't easily find that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's hard to weed through all that kind of
email
stuff.
is the best way to contact, but Facebook, Instagram, website, and the app stores.
Cool.
So
all right, thanks, man. Appreciate
it. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it coming out. That was bad.
Were you nervous?
No.
I was like, what?